It's C&B time, folks. Thanks for joining us for a brand new episode. I'm Siddharth Vinayak Patankar. On the program, we've got with us the all-new Mercedes-Benz A-Class. Now, you'll say that we've introduced you to the car before, but that's true. And that was simply an introduction, because now the car we have with us is the India spec. This one, the A180 Sport. All the details on what's available now with this car in India.
The Mercedes-Benz A-Class has been a global hit since its launch worldwide last summer, and we're frankly quite surprised as to how soon it's made it to Indian shores. But that's coming from a sense of urgency that Mercedes-Benz feels in not just India, but globally, to regain a lot of lost ground. The A-Class in India begins life as a completely built import with plans to try and begin local assembly by early 2014. The reason for the delay is on two counts. The Pune plant is yet to finish its capacity expansion in full, and the massive demand globally means it's not easy to get the headquarters to begin shipping kits of the car just yet. So, in India, we get two variants. The A180 style is diesel and priced at 21,93,500 rupees, and the A180 Sport or the petrol with a 22,73,500 rupees sticker price. These prices are ex-showroom Mumbai. Now, we asked for the Delhi prices, and Mercedes-Benz India said they're still being calculated, even after the launch. Oh well. The car with us on the show is the petrol, which, by the way, is better loaded.
The thing that strikes you about the design the first time you come and stand next to the car is just how relatively short it is. And you know what? That gives the car a look like it's sort of hugging the road. So it adds to the sporty element, and that gets emphasized by the sheer width and this really large integrated spoiler here at the back. So the point being that the car looks a little bit different to what you're used to seeing. It also looks a little more aggressive and sporty. And the tail light, even though it's nicely congruously fit into this whole styling language, what's nice is that it's harked back to the old C-shaped tail lights that you used to have from Mercedes-Benz, almost part of its hallmark of design in a sense. At the back here, you see twin tailpipes, and that tells you that this is the A180 Sport. Sport, remember, is the petrol style. The A180 style will be the diesel variant. The other way to distinguish the two cars visually is this particular element, the black finish panoramic sunroof that's been thrown in here. Only standard on the Sport, you don't get it on the diesel, but on the diesel you'll get all the other little elements that we're going to talk about. Very sharp feature here, the integrated indicators, stuff like that buyers in India do like. Nice alloy pattern, very young, sort of sporty looking thing, and draws attention to the youthfulness of the design. That's again standard, by the way, on both the cars, as is what they call the progressive diamond front grille. Now, it's a smart move by Mercedes-Benz India to say that, look, we're just going to offer this grille standard, and unlike what you see in Europe, where you have the option for the really high-end grille that you can opt for, which is constructed of little pins which hold up each of these diamond heads, if you will. This one, it's just been integrated into the plastic grille, so the effect is of that floating diamond pattern, when in fact it isn't actually a floating grille. But like I said, it's a smart move, draws a lot of attention to this sexy face, gives it that sexiness as well, and brings your focus onto this really large three-pointed star up front.
A quick look inside next.
Now, they do call it the Sport, and so which is why the petrol, the interiors are very sporty. You get all black seats. The diesel will have a little bit of a red stripe running through that seat to distinguish again. But otherwise, the elements that you see here are pretty much what's been carried over from the European spec. Of course, all the equipment levels are not as high as the European spec. Some of the things have been taken away, but you still get a fair amount in terms of goodies. The familiar Mercedes-Benz infotainment system, this floating screen, and that gives you access to Bluetooth telephony, and through your phone you can access the internet, get onto the Mercedes-Benz apps, Facebook. All of that is possible through the screen, and of course also access to your music. Sporty enough dials as well, and overall this package will appeal, especially to those who want to drive, who want to push it just a little bit, and of course to the younger buyer.
There is also a customization option we'll show you in a bit that will also attract the attention of the younger buyer. The car is sadly only going to be available in 3 colors: red, white and silver. Nope, that gorgeous blue we showed you from our first drive in Slovenia isn't coming. But maybe once the CKD assembly starts, we can hope for more options and variants. The technical specifications now. First, the A180 style diesel. The numbers are healthy, especially if you think hatchback, right? Expect the same engine tuned for more power to power the diesel B class when it launches in a few weeks. Now the A180 Sport, and of course this is the funner engine to drive. The dual clutch gearbox affords quick shifts, by the way, and yes, the paddle shifters on the steering wheel make it all the more fun. The car being offered in India comes reasonably well loaded, allows you a mix of comfort and convenience, and yes, also sexy style and a step into the luxury brand world. Next, all eyes on the Volvo V40 Cross Country and then the BMW 1 Series. Both cars we have scooped for you here on CNB.
So the A-Class has arrived here in the Indian market, and we're going to talk about the car, its launch, and of course the strategy around it with Mr. Kern, who heads Mercedes-Benz here in India. Good to see you, as always.
Sid, good to see you again. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Call me Eberhard. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm going to jump straight into it and ask you, the last time we met, I remember speaking to you about, how much of a pressure there is on you in terms of pricing this car. How much was there really when you finally arrived on this price?
Actually, that's not a pressure on the price. It's about how you design the car, how you spec the car, and what the final offer finally is about. So the price was not the main focus, it was value for money. And I think with the two packages we created, the A180 Petrol Sport and the A180 CDI Diesel style, we meet the expectations. And I'm very much looking forward to the customer experience feedback we get when test driving the car.
Now, the one question that has been playing on my mind is the car has just done so phenomenally well overseas. In terms of allocation of units for India, how are you being able to position that with the headquarters? Because I know that every market right now wants this car.
Yes, this is not easy, I can tell you. But I'm happy we saved enough allocation for the Indian market. So it can start right now. Yeah, the A-Class is available right now, both as a petrol and as a diesel.
Also, what stems from that is the the long-term plan. The strategy always included the possibility that you would look at assembling this car in Pune, which of course means bringing in CKD kits from Germany. And so, again, the question goes back to that as well, because the kind of demand that we're seeing globally, is that going to look more like a long-distance plan now, or is it more short-term?
Sid, when we met last time, I explained a bit. We are expanding our factory. We are doubling the capacity in Pune. To the 4 models we assemble already today, the S-Class, the E-Class, the C-Class and the ML Class. We add in August the GL Class. And from next year we have capacity available to think about more models to add. It's not finally decided yet, but of course in a midterm we will utilize the additional capacity.
And of course the question also then stems from the A-Class to the B-Class, because the same thing would then apply there as well, right? Same logic.
Yes, and A and B are only the first 2 members of the new generation cars family. I think it's not too much of a secret that there is a CLA and that there is a GLA coming, and very likely, looking at the response we get out of India so far, very likely both of these models will come to India.
And both of them will create a lot of buzz here, I can tell you. Those are 2 models I know a lot of you have been writing in and asking about. Very exciting times for the brand, because just 2 years ago, very different sort of an appeal, or a very different sort of adjectives being used to describe Mercedes-Benz. Now you're seeing a lot more energy, lot more youthful, styling appeal, all of that coming back very strongly to the brand. In India, of course, the distinction perhaps wasn't as great as it was in Western Europe, but do you find that energy is sort of showing up in our market as well?
Yes, yes. This we feel every day. Mercedes is back. We started this year as the year of Mercedes-Benz offensive in 2013 in India. We talked about. And the offensive, you remember, based on 4 pillars. And one of the pillars is products. And it's quite exciting after having the G63 AMG, what was launched in February, and the GL, what was launched just 2 weeks ago. Now the A-Class is the third model to come. And it will take only a few weeks, and we will have the B-Class diesel here. And that's not all for this year. So, yes, Mercedes is in a kind of offensive mode. We are ambitious. Finally, it's about delighting of every single Mercedes customer. What we try together, the team at Mercedes-Benz India in Pune, all our dealers, all our colleagues outside there, that's what we are aiming for. And such new beautiful products like the A-Class, what finally creates a new segment. It's the pioneer in the compact luxury segment. Such new products, of course, help to increase this perception. So we are quite happy to have the A-Class now available here in India.
Let me ask you, what's your favorite styling or design feature on the car? You want to point it out to us?
Actually, I like very much the panoramic sunroof.
Go across to it.
And it's really a panoramic one. If you look on the size of the sunroof, it's available with the petrol version, with the sports version. A very nice spec what we added to this model.
Looks cool.
But finally, if you talk about A-Class, you have to talk about the A-Class as a whole. And if it comes to design, if it comes to the style of the car, if it comes to the features of the car, it's a world-class infotainment system what comes with the A-Class. It's a 7 double-clutch automatical transmission what comes with every A-Class. It's 11 assistance systems, 7 airbags, so it's a heavily loaded, pure luxury compact car. And the trend we see everywhere in the world, that luxury goes compact. This happens here as well. It happens in luxury apartments, it happens in smartphones, it happens in hi-fi systems, and it will happen in the car business as well. So if you look at the car, especially especially from the side, if you look especially from the side, it's just beautifully designed. And coming to the grille, with the 302 diamonds in. Okay, you make up your mind, but I have to say this is just pure luxury.
Well, I have to say that your decision to make sure that the India spec has that grille was a very smart one. Gets a lot of attention for sure. And also the customization or individualization option that you're offering.
Yes.
Some of those decals makes it look a little sporty. Also talks to the younger kind of customer.
Yeah.
Something else we discussed briefly last time, but you're seeing more and more of it now, I think, as we see the market further develop for your brand, for some of the other luxury players as well. How much emphasis is there from you, marketing-wise, product-wise, on that younger buyer? In India, that is.
It is. It is. And if you talk about young, then it means, let's say, young at heart. Mercedes-Benz is a very young brand. And I come back to this AC Nielsen and Economic Times study from the beginning of the year, where the 18 to 24-old Indians or young Indians voted Mercedes-Benz as the most desirable brand under all the automotive brands. So it is a young brand, and such products like the A-Class, especially with this customization where you can see here, of course this pays into this young perception. Everybody likes to be young at heart, me too.
Of course.
And therefore we try to offer products what fit to this desire.
I have to ask you this question. Everybody's now going to, of course, look at the impending rivalry in the market once the BMW 1 Series arrives later in the year. But more than just that one product, the fact that you will have a rival coming in what does it do for the segment? Are you excited by the fact that the segment is likely to now expand? Because a few years ago, luxury and compact didn't go together in India, but now we are seeing a different sort of chapter.
Yeah, of course. A lot happened in the last years, and what I mentioned earlier, there is this worldwide trend to compact luxury. I appreciate competitors coming in. You know, having competition usually pushes you to try even harder. Yeah? And so far, we appreciate every competitor coming in. This helps the segment. It helps the market itself, and it will help our business on top.
And last question then, for the guys who are going to look at this car and they don't need any further convincing, you got no problem. But in a market that's traditionally seen luxury as meaning big,
Yeah.
what is the tool you'll be using to convince people that, you know, that can also be luxury, that size?
Looking at what happened in the pre-launch phase, all this buzz, what was around the A-Class, or still is ongoing in the internet, on Facebook, on Twitter, on all the social media, I'm quite convinced that India already arrived there. This trend to compact luxury is already in India, and we just pick it up. And I'm quite happy that we are the first ones, the first mover to market, that we are the pioneer to market right here. What's important now, after the launch, of course, is to experience the product itself. Yeah, so our dealers will be equipped from next week. We will have the test drive cars available, the petrols and the diesel. So now it's all about experience, and the most convincing argument usually is a test drive. And we invite everybody interested in driving the new A-Class, just visit one of our dealers, go there and get your own impression.
And that's a great invitation, I think, for all the car enthusiasts. I know a lot of them are watching us today, and so there you heard it from Evad. Thank you so much.
Sid, thanks for the
Thanks
for the talk. Yeah.
No, and all the very best. I don't think you need it. The car's attracting a lot of attention. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so there you've heard it. It's going to be an exciting time in the market when it comes to this particular new entry. It's a new segment, remember. It's going to excite not just the buyers who go for the car, but also what ends up happening in this space in the next few months. Great times for us to keep an eye on, and of course for all of you to get further product action. Time for us to slip into a short break here, react to this car, and especially this customized version. You know how to get in touch with us, and I'll see you after a break.
You know, initially when we have started up for setting up the factory here in Narsapura, the initial installed capacity was 1.2 million. So today our management has announced the further increase of 6 lakh units. So that would be the final capacity of this plant.
Welcome back. You're with CNB. I have to say the new Mercedes-Benz A-Class will certainly get heads turning wherever it goes. It's got quite the sexy look. Now, let's talk about another sexy car. This is the one that you were waiting for. Part 2, if you will, of our Jaguar F-Type review. Now we've got the all-powerful V8S.
As you have already seen on CNB, the Jaguar F-Type is quite the monster. And now, we introduce you to the Beast. The V8, or the V8S to be precise, is the most powerful iteration of the F-Type. It's the one that's meant to knock your socks off, the one for the aficionados, the one for the track days and motorways.
Inside the cabin, and you get pretty much what you expect from a sports car cabin, but something that designer Julian Thompson said, which stayed with me, is very true, and that is that the overall design or the layout of the cockpit is very selfish to the driver. And what that means is that while everything isn't sort of evidently positioned to face the driver in any way, you do get a nice snug feel, because starting from here on, everything is sort of partial towards the driving position, and of course that would be true on the other side in a right-hand drive in our market. Besides that, you get the kind of materials and fit and finish and feel and all the gadgets that you would expect as well. Certain nice little touches that I think you expect again from Jaguar, which is things like the climate control over here. For example, the little dials actually have inbuilt screens, and then there's this pop-up deployable air vent, which only comes up when you need it. So otherwise you get a nice flush central console. You can of course customize some of these materials. This particular car has nice orange stitching to go with the outside color. So all of that is nice and sporty. There's something new that we've seen which not everybody likes, but on this particular color again it looks good, which is the paddle shift as well as the start stop button and the dynamic control button here done in this sort of orange copper sort of a tone. So that's different again. And what's also different for Jaguar cars is that the rotary gear knob's gone and you got this sport shift. Again, that was a big decision that was taken to say that, you know what, in this segment, the buyer probably wants something a little sporty, something you can grip onto, and of course it also gives you that Tiptronic option when you go into sport mode. Now, the other thing that's new for Jaguars is the fact that, like Audi's Drive Select, if you will, you also get something new by way of an extra feature. They call it Dynamic Eye, and it's basically a configurable dynamic response system, which allows you to play around with the engine, steering, suspension, and gear shift. And make that perhaps a little bit different. You can customize it to have individual sort of settings to have a softer suspension, more dynamic steering, or you can just go full dynamic, or you can just go back to factory settings as well. So it's a nice idea because you can play around with that and change some of the drive dynamics on the go. And you know what, there's one little feature here which I'm going to show you a little bit later, and that's of course the active exhaust. Well, we'll talk about that in just a bit.
The 5-litre unit is supercharged, and if you recall the figures on the V6, you can see that we have more than 100 extra horses for company here. The gearbox is similar though, and yes, everything is standard on the V8S.
Almost time to jump in and drive the V8. Now of course the V6 was so much fun, so I'm expecting the V8 to be even better. I've got the pop-up spoiler open there just to show you how that looks when it does open up at higher speeds. But the rear of the car, minus that spoiler of course, is really where a lot of the design focus gets concentrated, because it draws on that legacy of the E-Type very strongly with the tapering rear end. And it is of course, as you know, the part of the car that I like best as well. And before we jump in and start driving this car and talking about its performance, let's talk a little bit about that E-Type, because so much on this car has come from the E-Type, not just in terms of styling, but also in terms of that legacy, in terms of some of that nostalgia and romance as well.
Of course, we don't have to tell you, performance is admirable. Does it better the Porsche 911 in terms of actual dynamics and road handling character? No. But in terms of driving character and response, it's right up there. The car is, in fact, as much fun to throw around as the Boxster S, which, as you know, has become the benchmark in many ways, and not just for us on CNB. Now, only if we had it on the track, eh? At the heart of the story are two crucial points. The first is the fourth generation aluminium construction, something Jaguar takes pride in, and something more and more car makers are turning to. Yes, even the mass players like Ford will soon shift to aluminium construction. But anyway, the point is the extra stiffness you get from the ride. The company says it's the stiffest Jaguar yet, and it has the fastest steering too. By the way, the weight distribution on the car is 50-50. The second point is the electronic differential that definitely does add a different character when compared to the mechanical differential on the V6. You also get 20-inch wheels and other goodies like the configurable dynamics and active exhaust, which are also standard.
Now they promised that it would be a really stiff ride, and it is, because well, the all aluminium construction helps, and it's good to see that that's not just on paper. When you do turn the electronics off, well, then you get the rear to hang out just a bit, as we did yesterday on the track. But that was the V6. Today, it is the V8, and you know what? It is definitely a whole lot more powerful and a lot more fun, and it's noisier too. But I'm going to say it, a lot of people are just going to simply opt for the V6, not just because it may be cheaper, but because it still seems ample. One thing that both cars do have is the option of the active exhaust. What it does is just a little click of this button, and it makes the car sound simply fantastic. Listen in. How's that? Oh yeah. Oh, that's fantastic.
The F-Type arrives in India this summer, and it will remain very niche as the V6S will be priced at 1 crore 33 lakh rupees, while the V8S will be priced at, wait for it, 1 crore 55 lakh rupees only.
As always, send in your feedback, folks, and as I get ready to say goodbye, we will go from one really hot hatch to another hot hatch. This one is in fact a particular car that so many of you have been wanting more details on here on CNB, and so we promise to bring them to you next week, the GT TSI Volkswagen Polo. So bright red car, something for you to look forward to next week, and in a way, now you understand why I'm in Saakhand. It is the hometown to both these brands, both these cars as well. React to all that you've seen on the show. I will wait for that feedback. Please wear your seatbelts. Please wear your helmets. Bye-bye.